Meeting everyone, this is called to order our town year council meeting for February 11th, 5 and it's 6 p.m. Evening, everyone. It's good to have everyone in attendance. Start with our open forum and public comment. As I call your name, please come to the podium, give us your name, address for the record, and your comments on each person has 3 minutes. We'll start with Mr. Roger Hunt.
My name is Roger Hines, 411 West First Avenue. The one thing I want to bring up, you guys have been doing a lot of great work lately. I love to see where the town's headed. I have one question, and that is to Brad Cornelius. What is our construction hour and day limitations that are documented in the town ordinances? And I bring this up. I own a construction company. And on Christmas, when that little girl opened up presents and we went outside, my neighbor was sawing concrete. On New Year's, they were chipping up tile. On Thanksgiving, my other neighbor was doing construction. I believe that we should have some sort of peace and quiet on Sundays and federal holidays, whatever we like. I know Orange County has it. And also, I believe we should have an hours of operation Monday through Saturday that construction is allowed to take place. So Brad, my question to you is, what is in our town ordinances in terms of construction limitation?
Mr. Hines, direct the question to us.
Mr. O'Brien,
Perfect.
that question's to you.
Brad, can you now?
Yes, sir.
So.
Additionally, I believe that Roger is going to ask a question.
Just want to keep the decorum right, so we get this correctly.
So Mayor Bradford is going to serve as your contact plan. Yes, so what in your ordinance under your noise ordinance, part of your code, what it does, it exempts construction activities 7 days a week, 365 days a year, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. So there really aren't any of those restrictions that Roger spoke about. It's people can do construction activity exempt from the noise ordinance every day of the year between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. I will say though, there's still subject to the general noise ordinance, there's general issues, but construction specifically, that's what your code says. So to change that would be an ordinance amendment to your noise ordinance.
Yeah. So I recall in my mind, I thought that we did have, at one point, I think you guys even talked about this.
All the development agreements all have it in here,
That's right.
but we don't have it in the general. from what I
Correct.
understand.
Correct, right, like here they have the limitations on the hours.
Okay.
Right. Roger, I appreciate the point. We'll discuss this and see.
Let's make a motion and approve. No, we're not today.
First, you gotta run for election. This is next time.
I would run for election, but coaching t-ball, baseball, soccer, basketball, and volleyball. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for what you do. I hope you really consider it. As you all are also my neighbors, I don't allow my guys to work on Sundays in the town and they're not supposed to work after 7 p.m. anyway, but thank you for everyone. I'm gonna take the little one home and go to the next sporting event.
Thank you for bringing her out. Thank you. So, Mr. Frank Kranz.
Hi, Frank Kranz, sorry, a little bit of a talk. Frank Kranz, 727 Forest Street. Thanks for this opportunity. In the years that I've lived here, I've learned a couple things. One is that stormwater maintenance is hard. Other than the south end of the forest, there's a stormwater maintenance system there that works. There are 3 grates, ground 1, 2, one's below ground level, that actually works. The water goes to a cistern near the lake, and the crud stays in there. I think gets pumped out now and it works. The other two grates don't work. They could if you fiddle with them long enough for a while, and then they would stop. The question I've had, and people have called me since, when was it? Tuesday. I've gotten phone calls for some reason from people I don't ever hear from. What are you gonna do about First and Forest? And can it ever be fixed? And how are we gonna make sure we don't ever do something like that again, especially on Vestal? So not looking for an answer right now, just, pass that on. That's, we talk about communication. I can forward you emails and texts and phone, that's out there. So thanks for the opportunity to say that. I really hope we come up with something for First and Forest. And I'm worried about Vesey. Vesey is clean. Waseon is not. Let's keep it clean.
Mayor, I did get a text, a phone call from that resident. I think it was on Friday afternoon, and on Monday, we had Public Works go out there, take a look at it. John went to go take a look at it. Before the meeting tonight, we had our engineers take a look at it. So if there's any issues out there, we'll try to resolve that.
Robert, I appreciate you stepping down. I do see the book also. I mean, I think it's one of those things that we've talked about. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that it doesn't work. So I've just seen a lot more about that as we move forward. I don't like saying things don't work, but we spend a lot of time and a lot of engineering effort on that to make sure that that does work and double down on making sure that that extra capacity. It's also relying upon some additional projects that are going to take place over the next year. So there's multiple pieces to that, but obviously we're always open to hearing about it and if that needs adjusting.
Right, and the reason I bring that up is just to show the reaction time that we have. When there's an issue that's brought up, we'll go out there and take a look at it. And if there are any issues, then we can see what we can do to take care of this. So,
Sounds good. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate everybody who went out to see it and got a bird's eye perspective. So next up is Mr. Jeff. I'm always gonna call you Ski.
That's close enough.
Sikorsky.
Shoe, call, ski.
Oh, see, all right.
It's easy.
For the record, so.
Yes, sir. Jeff Shikolsky, 219 West Second Avenue. So I forgive the audience, but I am going to read this because there's so much information here. This is regarding the Forest and First drainage project. So Waseon is getting massive amounts of pesticides, fertilizers, and road coquina dumped into it from the 35-acre drainage basin. Longtime Windermere Cove residents are seeing an uptick in the levels of algal blooms, sediment, and vegetative growth in the cove. Our kids are getting sick, and we no longer swim in the cove. Due to the drainage system's poor design and inability to maintain the system in working order, the town is now dumping thousands of gallons of street water runoff, lawn debris, and silt directly into Waseon Bay. For reference, our irrigation pump and our dock need to be dug out regularly from being buried by the sediment. This has never happened before. Torben Abbott, professional engineer, Resilient Civil Design, was hired, and he's a drainage design expert. He reviewed the drainage design documents and stated, "You are getting a fast pathway to increase water volume and carrying as much dirt as possible with it. They're sending sediment into the water body wholesale. This is the worst management practice and not a DMP best management practice. This system is doing the exact opposite of what it was designed to do. The stormwater needs to be captured upstream and held before sediment gets into the system. If the Second Avenue Road project is allowed to continue as planned, it will convey more water to this already overrun system. According to the Kimley Horn memorandum dated December of 2019, I quote, the existing pipes only provide 50% capacity due to siltation. And the existing French drains provide no storage and no exfiltration. The report also states, in quote, finding severe clogging of the existing pipes and possible groundwater infiltration into the French drains. The estimated runoff could be underestimated by a result of significant impervious areas added upstream in recent years, end quote. So in summary, Kimberly Horn report states the system is at best working at 50%, has no infiltration, and there has been significant impervious added upstream in recent years. This Kimberly Horn memorandum provides this system is inundated with water, and the town is saying the system was upsized to accommodate all the stormwater, the new Second Avenue project, but it's already failing. I see I'm almost out of time. My wife is signed up. Can she donate her 3 minutes to me, please? Does she need to come up and?
Yeah,
Okay.
just have her come up and. That would be.
Thank you.
Rochelle Shikolsky, Second Avenue, 219. I think it's my time.
All right, only 30 more minutes here, guys. So. Public Works stated the proposed drainage improvements on Second Avenue will only improve the capture and conveyance of stormwater runoff to the First Avenue's drainage system and will better preserve the structural integrity of the roadway. This means more dirty stormwater, road cocaine, and pesticide fertilizer moving faster than ever before into Wasion Bay. At this rate, it will turn into Lake Aponga. Furthermore, and this gets into the weeds, the town does not have an easement for their stormwater to run through private property into Wasion Bay. Historical pictures from 2005 to 2015 show there is no drainage in this area, and this project has significantly eroded a private beach by directly piping water to the First Avenue swales and the town's strategically built drainage system. Previously to installing the Fortis drainage system, the water would move slowly, percolate down, it would collect at First Forest, there would be flooding there, but now you guys have directed it onto personal property and have moved water illegally to personal property. That is a non-starter. This cannot be pushed under the rug any longer, especially while other drainage projects are being planned around town that could turn out as badly as this one. So again, in recap, massive uncontrolled erosion happening at the First Avenue shoreline. Per South Florida water management permit that I have outlined and given to everyone, this cannot happen. There's massive amounts of sediment being injected into Wasion Bay, much more than the allowable 29 NTU over background allowed. Another South Florida water management and EPD violation. And here's an ask: we need to routinely test this discharge, and I've asked for this many, many times, and it not once has ever happened. So now I am taking it upon my own person and my own money to test this water and then put the town in violation when the NTUs are well above 29. This significant environmental hazard in Lake Butler does not work. That didn't work. This significant environmental hazard to Lake Butler, it is a significant. It does not work to convey water so quickly to the First Avenue swale, as it is a torrent with no time for sediment to settle to the bottom. I've sent countless pictures and videos to everyone. In summary, please consider when the repaving and the drainage project from Second Avenue, we need to redesign this project, and you guys need to reach out to me. I'm willing to talk to you guys, but we need to come to a common solution and not the towns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Anita Carver,
I'll pass, thank you.
Mr. Mike Astrup. Mike.
So he's my neighbor who's gonna talk about this, but he wasn't able to get here until around 6:20.
And Mr. Ashraf Asiman.
He's gonna pass those
Okay,
back.
I'll pass
Okay,
it.
under that variance.
So we'll move to new businesses, as resolutions and ordinances for approval for reading council. For item number one, resolution 2025-01. Tabling that item tonight, unless there's objection. None, we will move into the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01. This is the county of Windermere public camping ordinance, first reading. An ordinance of the town of Windermere, Florida pertaining to public camping, declaring that Orange County ordinance 25-036 relating to the regulation of public camping is effective within the town of Windermere, amending sections 18-14 and 18-15 of Article 1, of Chapter 18 of the town's code of ordinances, providing for severability, codification, and effective date. The council will have a public hearing on this at our study. Next up is this is ordinance number 2025-02. Adoption of the two COP or two COP reporting requirements. This is the first reading. An ordinance of the town of Windermere, Florida pertaining to record keeping and reporting requirements for two COP licenses. Amending Article 4 in Chapter 8 of the town's code of ordinances entitled Alcoholic Beverages to add a new section 8-94 to require restaurants with two COP licenses to maintain separate records of food and alcoholic beverage sales and to submit reports on request from the town manager. Providing for penalties for failure to comply with record keeping and reporting requirements, amending section 8-82 to provide for revocation of conditional use approval in the event of non-compliance with new section 8-94 and providing for severability, codification, and an effective date. And that item will also have a public hearing at its second meeting at our next meeting. Any questions or concerns about any of those items, council? Seeing none, we'll move on to item D, our development review board items. This is for our first variance. This is case number Z24-1011-920 Lake Butler Boulevard. Parcel for the sleep on the number 0723285616-00-721. Variance to allow for an added access room resulting in a third story and a pickleball sports court in the front yard. DRB recommends approval and town planner Brad Cornelius will present.
Thank you, Mayor, and Brad Cornelius, to read the town plan. As the mayor said, this is variance Z24-10 at 11920 Lake Butler Boulevard. With us this evening is the property owner, Dr. Hassan, and his attorney, Ms. Carter. They are the applicants who are here this evening. What this request is, Dr. Hassan is building a new home at 11920 Lake Butler Boulevard. I do want to address outright, so everybody's aware, there was a lot split done on this lot about 2 years ago, where that property was large enough to be able to split into two lots, meet the 1 acre minimum lot size on both lots, as well as a minimum lot frontage, a lot width of 130 feet. In this case, it's actually both 150 feet. So they're able to do the lot split. One of the bit of unusual part of that lot split is that, as y'all know, there was an existing house on that property that actually would have gone across both lots. So a condition of that lot split was, or is, that for him to get a building permit, he had to demolish a portion of that house to bring it back to the property line so it didn't encroach. And then before he can get a CO on the new house, he would have to do additional demolition to make the existing house meet that 15-foot setback over there. So that's how this property was created about 2 years ago. And none of that has anything to do with this variance, none of that activity, but just so you understand why, if you look at the aerials, it's kind of confusing.
Just how we got.
It's how we got here, it's how we got here. So in terms of the variance, so he submitted a building permit, and in the building permit, he requested to have a third story, which is basically an access to the roof of his house. And in the town's code, your height limitations are the lesser of 35 feet or 2.5 stories, whichever is lesser. And your town code has a very specific definition of a half story, which is a sloped roof that from where the slope roof intersects with the wall to the floor cannot be higher than 3 feet. So basically, it's a dormer. And so it's hard to meet that half-story definition. So what we propose, it does not meet that definition for a half-story, so we have to consider it as a full 3rd story, which requires the variance. So that's why it's before you. In terms of if this is approved, he's still within the maximum 38% maximum gross floor area, so he's not exceeding that. Because this is a relatively large lot, so there's quite a bit of room out there. So he doesn't exceed that, and he's also compliant with the maximum height. His height is 34.75 feet, including that 3rd piece up above. So he is under the maximum 35-foot standard. So that's the first variance. The second variance is for a sport court. He's looking to do a sport court, pickleball court in the front yard of his home. Again, his property is fairly large, but the location of his house, the only place he has to fit it, and I'll let them address that more specifically, is in his front yard. So that's where they're asking him to be able to place it. Again, your town code requires all sport courts have to be either in the side or rear yard of a property. In terms of the other standard for the sport court, he is compliant. He has to meet the side setback, which he does, which is 15 feet. So he's compliant with the side setback. And also adding that court, he does not exceed the allowed impervious surface on the property, which is 45%. And actually, he's at a little bit over 42% with the sport court. So he's compliant with all those standards. He would have to update his stormwater provide his stormwater retention plan for the overall property if this were to be approved, and even with his house plan to ensure that he does retain the 1st inch of stormwater on site. With that one, you can also see, he does also show landscaping around the outside of that sport court. So that's that request. We did send out public notices for this, we received 4 in favor and none in objections. 3 of them in favor are actually directly across the street from his property on Lake Butler Boulevard. We did receive support from the adjacent neighbors, and I did talk to one of the neighbors, and their only concern was that he wasn't higher than 35 feet. And when that neighbor found out he wasn't, he submitted his approval of the variance. In terms of the development review board, they did review this at the January meeting. They took 2 motions, 2 votes on this, each variance separately. So on the first variance for the 3rd story, the DRB did review it, and they did recommend the town council approve it as submitted. Only condition they have, it really isn't a condition, was just that it will not exceed 35 feet, which it won't, because their plans are already that way. And that they do feel to be consistent with the plans that were submitted with the variance, which again, they will, because these are the building plans that they are going to submit. So they did recommend approval, the vote was 3-0 on that variance to approve. On the second variance for the pickleball court, the vote of the DRB was to approve it, but the vote was 2-1. One member did oppose that recommendation of approval. They felt it didn't meet the hardship, but the other 2 members did support the variance, and they had no conditions on the pickleball court. So that's my summary. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, the applicant's here to provide you more information.
A couple quick questions, Fred. One being lighting for the pickleball sports.
Yeah, under your code, you're required to put in, basically cut off lighting where it would only shine down onto the court and not spill off to other properties. So that is a requirement of your code.
And then the other thing is, it's more global, because I think what's occurring is we're seeing some newly, these Phil Keaton style houses, I guess I call them, so, with the flat roofs, they're not as, obviously they're not as traditional, right? So they don't fit under some of our existing guidelines. So with that, if they have solar on top of the house, does it count in the 35 feet?
No, solar, because there is a state law that basically allows solar outside of any zoning
Okay, outside.
restrictions, regulations. So if it's just solar panels, that would be okay.
And of course, the access to me makes a lot of sense. And when you read it and then when you look at it, it's like, oh, that's quite self-explanatory.
And Mayor, I can also say, I wasn't in the meeting, but I understand it here. We did have a discussion that they would be supportive of the idea of removing that 2.5-story part of the height and just have the flat limitation of not higher than 35 feet.
might be something to look at.
And from an enforcement side, that would make it much cleaner and clearer for everybody.
Well, designs change and you see new things, and sometimes the code, we fit into the code, sometimes they're a little outside or. Council, any additional questions? Comments for Brad, before we hear from the applicant?
Yeah, I have a couple. So for the, and it might be for the applicant, for the access room, it's just like one room that's gonna have this happening, or is this across the entire course?
It's just one room, and they can confirm that, but it's just one.
Okay. That was my question for that part, so.
Is it really just like, is it more like a hatch?
So it's actually, it goes above the roof, it's
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna call it a portal on top of the house. It's a room, it's 9 feet high. It's 9 feet high.
I see, okay. Yeah, I see, and you're showing there, yeah, that's much more clear.
It's like an elevator one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have a comment, but not a question. So I'm just gonna say this, for the comment, I mean. When we're saying that there's, that they have a hardship of putting this there, the lot is currently vacant, they can build the house and put anything wherever they want at this point, correct?
Consistent with the code and requirements, just saying.
Okay. I mean, I have concerns with, I feel like we've already had 2 pickleball courts, I feel like they're gonna keep coming. I know that with Manners, when they were talking about putting a pickleball court in the rec center, we had a ton of residents come out from the Manners that didn't want it there because of the sound. I think pickleball is a new popular thing. But I know I wouldn't want it next door to me, so I think maybe these neighbors are okay with it. There's a current road there, if that changes and other people move in, I wonder if other people feel the same. And I don't want to see not a legal precedent, but a precedent with an expectation. People think will happen all over the town.
Yeah.
They are very loud.
But that's what the variance is for, that's the beauty of it, what I did like about this is I did sit under the argument was, then they really went through it, it's a big lot, it sits really far back, and it's, I mean, of course, more than, it's 30
That's what
plus feet back, it's 30 feet plus back from the road to start with. I think that property, does already have a fence or a small wall there that runs across the front of it.
There's a small knee wall and a small.
That's what it is. It's the house with the blue roof. You see it?
I saw that house today, it's not bad. I feel the same way Wayne does about it, I mean, I go with what affects the neighbors the most, they're your neighbors. So I would not want to next thing, I'll be honest with you. I think in your case, there's a lot more opportunity for it. Some places there are not. I know I've had complaints recently about people that fall for the yard, people want to do about it, stop, and nothing at this point, so we can only depend on the goodness of the neighbors. You guys to communicate with each other and, just be polite and considerate with it, because it is a big issue, and there are people now who just throats, literally, because their neighbors are not considerate when people walk for it, so. But I always go by with what the neighbors want, because it's your corner. Doesn't sound like, and your lot is definitely an exception. It's very big, and you got a lot of public property around you, maybe on one side, and probably a park across the street from it. So, but just for the record, guy, I feel like we need to eye on it and just be aware of the setting precedents for the future.
I think we're gonna allow things like this. We get a lot of people saying that they're gonna put landscaping around it. And I know we had a garage that was in front over here not that long ago, and they said they were gonna add extra landscaping, and it never happened. So if we are gonna approve these things and people are saying they're gonna put landscaping, I think it needs to be part of the, conditional use that we're approving it. Because otherwise it seems like landscaping isn't going in, and I would at least not want to see these things from the road. I don't feel like I'm driving through basketball courts and pickleball all through town, so it should be shielded from view. As a mandatory rather than just what they say they're gonna do. Not that you guys wouldn't, I'm just saying based on past.
You're right.
Yes.
I'll hold for that.
Is
He
it,
did say that.
is it CO'd already?
I don't know.
Yeah, they do
It
still
is.
be under the done, right?
But it wasn't in writing.
But let's, move on to.
Yes, yes.
Well, that was great. And listen, I do understand the concern about. I see quite a few of these, and the hardship is all fine. It's, you're starting with one side, so, we want to, approve these as one, or does council feel the need to separate these two?
I would prefer to separate.
So Mayor, motion to approve the third story variance.
Second.
Okay, motion maker is Councilperson Davenport for approval, second, Councilperson Williams. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns, council, or questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll begin voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Just for clarification, that was to approve. Approve access third floor. Looking for a motion on the second item.
Mayor, motion to approve the variance for the.
Motion to approve by Councilperson Davenport.
With landscaping,
It's on the plans.
so it's on the fence.
Yeah, it's on-
Does that mean it's guaranteed, Brad?
I would suggest to make that part of your motion, so it's very
Is there a motion maker, friendly to that?
As
We don't have a second, so you might as well restate your motion. Because we don't have a second.
We don't have a second.
No.
So we can take a new motion.
motion to approve variance for the. As designed with West.
Thank you, Councilperson Davenport. Looking for a second. Second, Councilperson David. Question, comments, or concerns, council? If none, we can go to Councilperson Street. Aye.
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 Okay, thank you, carries unanimously. That should help you with your variance and, wish you, welcome you to town and like much enjoyment.
Don't start rumors.
Well, next is our contracts and agreements. We have several today, some we may have discussion on, some we may not. Our first amendment, or item number one is the first amendment to memorandum of understanding with Orange County Intergovernmental Radio System Encryption. Staff recommends approval. Chief Long is here for any questions you have in council.
All assuming is adding to the cloud. To allow them to use encryption.
Commissioner Graves.
Yeah.
Not like the old days when you listen to it all. Any additional questions or comments, council? Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Councilperson Davenport.
Second.
Second, Councilperson Williams. In voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item number one carries unanimously. Next up is number two, a memorandum of understanding for the transfer of the Linear Line on West Orange. That's right, that shouldn't say West Orange Chamber.
No, it's foundation, let's
Oh, I apologize. I'll read it as it is. Memorandum of understanding for the transfer of the Linear Line design to West Orange Foundation. Staff recommends approval. Council, any questions, comments, or concerns? For a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Councilperson Williams. Second, Councilperson. In voting with Councilperson Street. Aye.
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 That motion carries unanimously, and fantastic event to all the team and committee that's here. We appreciate everything that you've done for the event, and I think that, super wise move, and guarantees the event for the future. Great job. Next up, Central Florida Foundation Agreement establishing the Town of Windermere Legacy Fund. Staff recommends approval. So I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilperson Davenport. Second. Second, Councilperson Davis. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we begin voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye.
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 Aye. And that, Central Florida Foundation Agreement establishing the Town of Windermere passes unanimously as a great use of our Windermere line and unfunded results. Next up is 2024-2025 municipal election vote processing equipment use agreement and election serving contract. Staff recommends approval. Council, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilperson Williams. Second from Councilperson Davenport. Again, voting with Councilperson Street. Aye.
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 Aye. Number passes unanimously. Thank you, Council. Approval of easement agreements with Allen, Healy, and Plotkin for 10 Main roadway project. This is an easement agreement rather than a land swap. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns, Council? Okay, looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Councilperson David. Second. Second, Councilperson Abbott. Begin voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Five passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Next up, installation of crosswalk between 9th and 10th on Main Street. For $29,100, staff recommends approval. Council looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Approved, Councilperson David. Second. Second, Councilperson Haynes. Questions, comments, or concerns, council?
One brief question, was
Yes,
this
sir.
approved on the LRP list? I saw that there was approval.
I believe so.
Yes.
Along Main Street, but it was the location was changed.
Yes, yes, so the original LRP requested somewhere between 9th and 10th. This one is closer to 10th because that's where we could have the landings, Tony. We needed landings on either side. So we shifted it slightly. So it is where LRP wanted it. It's just slightly shifted towards 10th.
Yeah.
Oh, we already did, we got David and Haynes, all right, we'll go ahead and do a vote then. We can vote Councilperson Stroop. Aye.
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 Thanks for keeping me honest, guys. Passes unanimously. Approval of purchase to replace vehicle number 32. Staff recommends approval. Motion to approve, Council.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Councilperson Haynes.
Second.
Second, David. Begin voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is approval to purchase and replace vehicle number 33 for the police department. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Approve, Councilperson David.
Okay.
Second, Councilperson Haynes. And voting Councilperson, Stroop. Aye.
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 Carries unanimously. Next up is KHA IPO 202. Transportation services associated with consideration of golf cart crossing locations in downtown Windermere, an amount of $18,800. Staff recommends approval. Yes.
Request this item be tabled. Tanya and I were talking prior to town council. I believe, we can get this data through Metro Plan Orlando and their streetlight data. And we have an opportunity to go, inquire with them to see if it's available.
Council, any objection to that? Okay, seeing none, we'll table item 4, KHA IPO 202, until Councilperson David is able to find, we can get that information.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is board and committee appointments for Parks and Recreation, Jennifer Kirby. Want to make a motion?
Making a motion to approve Jennifer Kirby. I'm just.
Okay, Councilperson Davis. For second. Second, Councilperson David. Then voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that Parks and Recreation appointment is for Kirby passes unanimously. Long Range Planning Committee appointment for Mr. Stephen Lewis. From Long Range Planning recommends approval and looking for a motion. Motion to approve. Motion approved, Councilperson David.
Second.
Second, Councilperson David. Then voting Councilperson Stroop. Aye.
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 That motion carries unanimously. So with that, finishes. all the business. Addition today. On the most right of anything today. All right, any council liaison reports?
Historic Preservation Board was canceled this month. We did have a Sea Cadets Board of Directors meeting on Sunday. Good news and bad news. The good news is we've gone from 19 Sea Cadets to 40.
Wow.
Yeah. The bad news is they probably won't fit in the. So I think, Detective Wilson is here down town hall, but, great news for them.
On that.
And a very active group, and a very engaged leadership.
What great down there. Fine young men. Any additional council?
Please. Okay, so tree board, is still meeting, they're doing their subcommittee meetings, they're working now on the ordinance. They thank council for approving their resolution for increasing our mitigation fees. So they're gonna have to, I think, 1 or 2 more meetings left this month for the, ordinance for. And then back meeting back to the school, but really not much to report there for the town. And Butler Chain Lakes meets next Monday, so.
I was getting ready to say waste committee, has been meeting and doing really well, and they, got some events that they're planning for throughout the year, they put it on the last meeting, and, what, 23? If I'm not mistaken, in there, okay, last name, so we've got a lot of youth very involved and wanting to get involved, and it's really great to see them wanting to learn how to do. Well, and first of all, to meet Thursday, no report.
Outstanding. I just want to take a moment and I want to share my appreciation to both the Centennial and the Wine and Dine committees for all of their hard work this past month and past 2 months, like it's like 2 events every weekend, so we are really moving through. I've seen the energy and the good things that came. First of all, Wine and Dine was an amazing success. I think there was 1,400 people there. 1,300. Officially 1,300. Okay, sorry. I understand. I never knew. Hard to believe. And then everything with the Centennial so far has been really, really positive. Had a really great kickoff. Our torches out front. Got several events coming up, including the fair, as well as the special tribute trees,
Time capsule.
and the time capsule, which apparently is constructed. Yeah, so I would potentially blow it up.
Research.
Is that another thing I'm not supposed to say? No, it's all good. You have to explore it. You can't get there, it's like out of the involved.
Yeah,
So,
it's trying to figure out how to put it in. We're starting to research. I did actually today, trying to research on different types. How do you open it? And it's intense.
You might need a safe cracker. And we also have a really, really special event, for everyone that's given. Just a lot going on, and I appreciate all the support. Support all those events and celebrate our centennial. Really, really go out with a bang on our final in-house wine.
Question, the fair, tickets, how is the sale of the tickets?
They are, CD, do we have them?
Great, we're over, over 800, and we haven't.
Okay, 15,000 already, is that what you're trying to say?
I'm surprised we haven't sold out.
Yeah, they have, we got 2 ads coming out.
Well, the ad drops tomorrow
Ad drops
for
tomorrow.
the general public.
So, yeah, so the ticket sales are pretty good. Especially with the headliner,
Yeah,
they're gonna draw big. I was reading and the cheapest ticket anywhere to be found is like $80. And so it'll be a sellout.
We pulled in for 40 Rob.
yeah. We were there on that Saturday, and they had the Jonas Brothers, one of the brothers. But people were like 8 o'clock, they were 9 o'clock. Did we just give you guys anything? No,
It's not only all the lunch,
Great elders.
the social luncheons.
Okay.
It was a great, awesome, world-class musician. It was pretty, you guys was asking, it was good. Great turnout, great show, so if you're able to come, support, show up, food's great. I'm not sure you have to be elderly, you can probably show up and be willing to have,
You just have to be social.
willing to have, be social.
We were going so well.
We did well.
Okay.
Been busy.
Robert?
Oh, yes, Holly and I we are working with JJ, our lobbyist over in Tallahassee and Orlando. We met with them, we did a tour of the town, show them all the projects that are currently ongoing. Also to look at the projects that we're hopefully gonna submit and hopefully get awarded For the state appropriations, we had to scale back the appropriations a little bit for the north phase and the south phase. Because it doesn't look like anything's gonna get fully funded, especially with the amount of money that we're asking. So we had to pretty much do a phase one, which is planning and design for north phase and, south phase. And our contribution to that would be about 10% based on the cost of what we can afford in fiscal year 25-26. For Chase and Main and 6 and Main roundabouts, the same thing, we would do a phase one, and for that, I can afford probably about 25% as a match. And based on the fact that they were vetoed last year, hopefully we're gonna get some traction to get those things funded. The due date was getting them February 14th, everything, again, thanks to Tanya, and staff to get those things submitted on time, but we'll see what happens during session.
Good. Yeah, we're excited about that. We're excited to have some representation up there to help us, get some of these things across the finish line. I also heard some mixed things at different candidate discussions, things like that. It's important to remember that many and good amount of these projects are separate dedicated funding streams. So when you hear over budget or this will cause this not to get done, those things are, those are not accurate statements. Clear about, separate pots of money. Some of these require some matching funds. We have those dedicated funds. Nothing's gonna stop the projects other than, indecisiveness or challenges like that, but, the town has the means and the funds to do the projects that we have on the books to be completed, and we're always actively looking for additional funds to leverage our tax dollars to allow us to do as many projects as possible, as efficiently as possible. It's affordably to the taxpayer.
We do have the Big Orange Awards next Saturday, it's hosted by the chamber, so just let me know if you're able to attend and get a table for that. Town awards will be next Friday night. Do you want to congratulate George on 32 years for town winning one? He's been here for 25 years, so. Due to the annexation, which we received 75% of the vote in favor of the annexation, we're gonna be making a lot of transitions on February 14th. We've been working with Orange County Fire Department, Philly Fire Department, our police department, Department of Revenue, pretty much a litany of different people to make sure the transition goes smoothly on February 14th and or February 17th. To make sure that, they're gonna see that change once it's 10 days after the official vote. So we've been working hard on that. Hopefully it will be a smooth transition. We're actually gonna be working on a welcome letter to them as well to give them all the information that they need. We gotta change out the cans, just get a park key, tennis key, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna make sure that they have all the information. Our civics day with the Windermere Elementary School started today. Started a little late, but we were able to get through it. And the next one's gonna be on the 13th. So if you haven't seen one of those, it's the 3rd and 4th graders show up and they ask a lot of good questions.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun questions. They usually just want to see the police officers and firemen, but they usually ask them.
And ask you your age.
How old are you?
How old are you? What car do you drive?
Yes.
How much money do you make? And have you ever shot anybody?
Yeah,
That's a good question, depending on her.
yes, that's about right.
What happened if the state was to the fourth?
What happened to the ice cream?
Yes, yes.
We gave them fidget spinners today, so I think it worked out. And then reminder that the March meeting is gonna be on the 4th Tuesday of the month, and that's because you have the election on the 2nd. That's all I have, man.
Thank you.
Quick question, Robert.
Sir.
Any impact from the federal funding, kind of pause and restart and pause and restart?
No, after the first 3 days, it was confusing, but I believe with the HMGP grants that we currently have, we're gonna be okay.
Fingers crossed. Tanya.
Good evening, Town Council. I would just like to give a shout out to my team for the extracurricular activities they've been working on for Centennial. There are many moving pieces and parts to these flames that you see out here, and my team worked tirelessly to get that all sorted and set up. And I would like to, I would like to thank John Fitzgibbon as well, but I just want to make sure that my 4 staff were recognized. So So with that said, the other thing I wanted to remind everybody, with the influx of those activities, I understand people have been concerned about the roadways, but my staff are getting back out on the roads again to be doing full bore on those as well. So I appreciate everybody's patience as we've moved through this process. Thank you. Yeah.
It's been very, very dry. I actually checked the rainfall amounts for the last couple of months and it's a half an inch. So we see it as really dry. And we know that you guys are busy and it is good to remind everyone that every time there's an event, there's 2 or 3 staff that participate in that event, even if it's an event that's supported by a lot of volunteers and everything else. You know, where the lights are, we'll lock everything up and ensure that everything's safe and sound. It also includes oftentimes our PD. So there's a lot of resources that go in these events, but it's part of what makes our town special.
Absolutely.
Important and valuable. Councilor Ramos, you look different.
Yes, hi, council. My name is Christina, for those of you who have not met me. I'm sitting in for Heather, who's taking a well-deserved vacation. And just wanted to let you guys know the state legislature is gonna be convening for their regular session in March. So we will be sending you guys in the coming weeks sort of a summary of the bills they're gonna be considering that, if passed, will be relevant to the town.
So you're gonna do another 3rd shot of a special session to potentially.
Yeah, they've been keeping themselves busy, for sure.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, let's-
Jason?
Good evening. I only have a couple of things. Robert had advised our annual awards is next Friday, the 21st, is 6 to 8 at the family church. Everybody should have received an invitation. So we'll be happy to see you there. Your officers are currently conducting training with our new dispatch software, so we're crossing our fingers that we're able to go live with that. So we'll doing training now in the next weekly mock. And then we're waiting to see if it all works out. It'll go live sometime in March. And I also completed the 2024 annual report for the Windermere Police Department. I should have, everybody should have received that. If you didn't, I can send it to you. Otherwise, it is on the website.
Who's on the website?
Yeah, it
Is
is.
everyone invited to the award ceremony?
Everyone,
General public, are they invited to come see? Yeah, that's already filled the place, but
yeah, I mean, I think we could probably take the rest of the people in the crowd here, but I can't take much more than that. So, if anybody wants to come, you're off, see me after, and I'll be happy to give you an invitation.
32 years, so you started when you were 4.
yes.
Did I do that?
How'd you know?
I just know these things.
Smart man, smart man. We will be having an election. I will be getting with Randy Haynes, Mayor O'Brien, and Andy Williams, who are my canvassing board for the charter. And, we need to have a meeting. It's gonna be like 15 minutes, but I need to have 48 hours of notice posted for that meeting. So I will get with the 3 of you to see when we can meet for like 15 minutes, and it's just to allow Orange County Supervisor of Elections to begin opening and processing ballots that day without you being there. But you will have to be there that afternoon and evening, and then on the 14th to certify the audit. Another thing, I know Brandy, you have questions about it, but it's not difficult really with the amount of ballots that we have. And we don't have a district, so we can't pick just one district with the lowest amount of votes. We're gonna have to recount the whole town. So depending how our turnout is depending how long it takes, usually doesn't take us long at all.
It's not bad. We
So
did it.
the meeting on the 14th, that when time is that?
I will have to look and see, it's March 14th. 4:00 in the afternoon, I believe that one is. That's the one that we'll do the audit, if there's a recount needed, we'll do the recount. And do the testing logics and then officially,
All right, we'll talk about that in a meeting.
gotcha. Okay, that's it, that's all I have, right?
Anything additional, council, for the order? Seeing none, we will adjourn at 6:55 P M. Thank you.